Hello, my name is Azeb I'm one of the co-hosts of the Freitas Effect podcast. Welcome to Conversations with Creatives. These episodes are brought to you in collaboration with Entropy Theater for Entropyfest themed emergence. Entropyfest is a celebration of local emerging artists in the New England area, and the Freitas Effect is serving as MCs on the weekends of May 20th and May 22nd and May 27th through the 29th. Ticket information is available in all of our social medias, as well as Entropy's social media platforms and the description of these episodes. I have here with me Qadir Shabazz, or however he wants to introduce himself. I'm going to give him the floor.
Thank you, Azeb, for the introduction. My name is Qadir Shabazz, formerly known as Q, also formerly known as Raphael, Raf. So, how y'all doing?
Sweet. Welcome. So, Qadir, would you like me to call you Qadir?
Yeah, that's cool.
Or Q? Which one do you prefer?
Shit, whichever one come out smoother.
Okay, bet. Well, my first question for you is, when did you identify as an artist?
I don't think I really identify as that. You know, I'm just me. I mostly gravitate off my personal interest and what I'm feeling at the moment, and just find a way to kind of put that into a realm of expression. Like, but before anything really, you know, I grew up in a Hispanic household. You know what I mean? So my mother comes from DR. She's bouncing state to state just to kind of, you know, settle down in one comfortable space. But obviously that was a really rough time for us. So I grew up speaking Spanish for a very long time up until middle school. So I didn't really have an understanding thoroughly for the English language. I found writing and reading to be my outlets. You know, I found that to be just a way that I could fully express what I'm thinking and the things that I'm feeling. So poetry and writing, just that medium art has been lingering for quite a while in my life. And if I could find a way to implement it with photography or, you know, writing a script or something, then it'll find its way into that medium. You know, people may label that as, oh, he's an artist, or he's a poet, or he's this or he's that. You know, people kind of have their own perceptions, but my own perception is like, okay, like I need to let people know what it is that I'm feeling, what it is that I'm thinking about. And writing, man, it just seems to always follow me everywhere I go. That's pretty much it for me right there. A little background story.
Beautiful. We love a biography. Well, continuing with that, how did you like find yourself drawn to the arts world or connected to it? Like, what was your intro to it?
I feel like no one really properly introduced me into like the art world that may exist. You know, because there's different societies that view as art as different, you know, different ways of what it is. So I guess I might have to touch back into the roots of, you know, just art and art being a course in a public school system. So there was this old short white guy. I don't know if he was Jewish or not, but or whatever ethnicity he identifies with, but his name was Mr. Z, and he put on this documentary called Style Wars. Style Wars is a documentary based on the graffiti underground world and how that kind of expanded throughout time. And I always fell in love with the idea of having to illustrate something like a still life, but I never picked that up, you know, seriously. I never found a way to, you know, I guess draw something out because I'm not a really good drawer. So I wouldn't say that was my introduction. I think my introduction really was watching a Basquiat documentary and then hearing Miles Davis playing the trumpet. So those two mediums together, like art and music, it's like they had a baby. in that present time for me, you know, it's like they had a baby and like, okay, like this is different. I just found that to be really inspiring. Next thing you know it, I got ideas for writing my own books. I got ideas for composing a record. I got ideas for writing songs. I guess curiosity was the main introduction.
Yes. Do you make music?
I don't make music, but for my upcoming album, March 10th, I'll be releasing my debut poetry album.
Cool.
March
And
10th.
where will that be available?
It's gonna be available on Bandcamp. So if you know about Bandcamp, look them up. They have their own website for a lot of upcoming artists who want a platform to kind of distribute their own work and or even to monetize off of it. I would not be monetizing my album this time around. I just want it to be free for people's ears because it's something that I took my time with. I feel like, hey, everyone should have access to this. I think it's a very special project, and this is an album that I also took the time to learn how to make my own beats to it. That experience in itself was very fulfilling and also just, a way to broaden my perspective on how to make music and what music is like when it comes to making it. It was very fun. March 10th, a new Afro Latino beat poet, self-titled album. A lot of my written poetry and unseen poetry will be on the album, as well as a couple features. Katrina Rojas, Hemavision, Jonathan Innocent, and producer Saidi. So all those cats had a hands-on production on my album, and I'm super, super grateful for what they did on that. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
Word. Yeah, I've been seeing the promo and it is exciting and I cannot wait to hear it. Following up with that, just kind of like especially hearing you talk about the process of making your own beats, right? So like how did you kind of learn how to do that? Did you like self-teach yourself or like reach out to like friends or colleagues? What was your approach to learning about that?
I would consider myself a student to the game before anything else. Like before I even thought about putting this album together, you know, I sat around in studio sessions, with people like Michael Christmas and people, just here and there in the Boston music scene. And I would hear these sessions, and I would also be tuned in with some of the producers that are in the game. I don't want to drop any more names, but it's just like, how much of a sponge are you? You know, because if you're not soaking up any knowledge, how are you gonna create your own blueprint to what you want to do in the future? So, like I said before, Miles Davis was really the introduction for me as someone who loves music, to kind of recognize the different tempos and the different notes within the trumpet. Same for like Art Blakely, who was a black drummer. His compositions are insane. And Maxwell, I can go on with the names of all these famous musicians, but it's really just like a ball of inspiration that's always around. It's like you just got to be able to see it. It's not always up here, but it's always out there type shit. So
So you're saying like surrounding yourself by it in general is like a way of learning.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
Like I didn't go into it thinking like, oh yeah, I know how to make beats.
Right.
You know what I mean? I kind of just picked here and there like what stood out to me the most, rhythm wise, process wise, and just like perfecting it. So surrounding yourself with things that inspire you, I would say is like the key to your success. It's like saying your environment is your success. What's around you will help you, flourish in a way. So that's kind of how I view it. I've been in the scene for a couple of years, taking the back seat and helping people out here and there. And this is something that I wanted to do for myself.
Speaking about stuff that you want to do for yourself, Is this going to be what you're presenting at Entropyfest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So
And
like,
it's
tell
really,
us everything. What are you doing?
man, I don't want to give out too much.
Okay, give
It's
us the trailer,
facts.
the teaser.
30 seconds for y'all. Yo, it's gonna be crazy. I handpicked myself about 4 or 5 tracks off the debut album, and these 4 or 5 tracks have special, just kind of vibrations to them. It's gonna take you on a roller coaster, right? So you might feel sad, you might feel happy, you might feel like you got butterflies because you love the person next to you, or the person that you are thinking about, you love them. So that's kind of like my whole concept behind my you know stage time, is to just allow people to sit with themselves, but I'm also speaking to them, kind of like that voice in your ear, whether it's good or bad, but it's still encouraging you to do what you want to do.
Is there anything else that you're working on that you're excited about, or that you have like that's going to be launching around the time of the festival?
Uh, I don't have too many details on that.
Okay,
I'm gonna keep that sacred for now. Just kind
that's
of keep that
fine.
information in the vault. Um, but my goal is for sure is to start the process of publishing my next book, my second book, come 2023.
What's it
And
called?
well, the title of my first book is called Isaac. Isaac is spelled in acronyms. To break it down on what Isaac means is I see above all convolutions, kind of just being able to see the simplicity of life sometimes and not always get overwhelmed with the idea of a complex, solution, or like a complex way to kind of maneuver yourself. So that was what the title was about. And then within that book, there's a short memoir about my childhood upbringing and the things that I've dealt with up until high school. And then there's also a section dedicated to, poems that were inspired by, Sankofas, spiritual healers from Africa. So in a way, it has this balance of self expression and also like inspiration, and then like kind of a biography on myself. So there's the first book, and then the second book is called Negro Flowers. Negro Flowers, that title has been around for the last couple of months because I wanted to do an experiment with that title itself. We're living in a very sensitive time where people of color as well may feel like the terminology Negro is a bit offensive. Um, I don't look at it that way. I look at the word Negro as a terminology of empowerment. Like Negro is like a Negro petunia. A Negro petunia is also a black flower. A black flower is so rare. It's so different. So Negro petunia, Negro flowers was really just the concept of the flower of life. How we evolve as humans and how we grow. I did a couple zines with that title. You yourself had the opportunity to contribute, and I was so happy to see what you contributed because that time I was searching for people to contribute, images that defined what their communities look like. A lot of people submitted from all over the world. It was really refreshing to see and eye-opening to just realize like, hey, people have different ways of how they perceive the term community. And that in itself is beautiful. That was my experimental stage. And then now I'm taking that title and I'm slapping it on the cover of all my poems related to, community, related to multicultural spaces, and a little bit about, empowerment for people of color and equal rights and all of these like political aspects of what it means to be a person of color is going to be in that book. So stay tuned. There's no official date. 2023 is a year though. So
Hey,
Yeah.
Are you planning on using any of the photos in that project?
No, no,
Okay.
that's gonna be a strictly poetry book.
Dope.
All words.
Well, that's beautiful and amazing, and we love to hear it and keep it going. Um, so last question, well, last couple of questions. Where can we find your work and how can people support you?
But find my work. Well, most of my work is on my personal page. Instagram.com/Q 2 underscores Shabazz. Um, I tried to find the most simplest way to just make an IG handle that, you know, can allow people to find my artist name. So Q___ Shabazz, and you'll see a bunch of portraits that people have taken of me, a bunch of graphic designs, influential people of color that had an impact on my that has had an impact on my poetry career, and just me as a human being as well. So if you're into that stuff, follow me, and I will always put you on to knowledge.
Yes. Amazing. Okay, last question. Um, what advice, if you have any, do you have for emerging artists?
Advice for emerging artists. Honestly, I consider myself an emerging artist. Like on like not like it's humble, but also just a realization of reality, right? Um, is to really just keep moving. Use anything as fuel as long as it's for the better, right? People doubt you, use that as fuel. If people, love you, use that as fuel. Like love and hate will mold you into the person you are to become, because it's all about how you handle it. So don't forget that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for blessing us with your presence and wisdom and words as always. Super excited to see what you're going to perform at Entropyfest.
Yes,
And people, keep your eyes open and you better be there because you don't want to be square and you don't want to miss this. Okay. But all right, so we're going to head out. Thank you so much, Qadir, for joining us. And we will see you guys at Entropyfest.
Peace.